Hello, and welcome to an episode that talks about waste management. I'm Swati Singh, a media professional for the last 12 years, specialized in mass communication. I have worked as a media professional with the Hindustan Times, the Indian Express, Career Launches, the Times of India, etc. And I've also taught mass media and development in various universities and colleges, including the Delhi University. Today we shall be discussing about the waste. We will try to understand the meaning, need, and significance of waste management because it is something that is constant and continuous problem. It is something that is hindering the growth, progress, and the positivity in the environment. So, we have to understand that how we would manage the menace of waste. First, let's start by discussing the objectives of this episode. The objectives of this particular lesson are to learn about the problems of waste management, to understand the concept of the 3 R's, to learn about the problem of solid waste management, to discuss the various tools and techniques of handling waste, to understand the benefits of waste management, to learn about the various methods of waste disposal. We start with the introduction. Well, it is understood that waste collection and rubbish disposal play an extremely important role in the global cleanliness and sustainability drive. This is all the more important today, with people's health and the conservation of resources being the responsibility of every government. To ease the pressure on the government agencies, and numerous privately managed organizations also play a part in these waste management and recycling programs. In many cities, it means that local government agencies have been left with the responsibility of overseeing the work done by these privately held organizations. The process of waste management involves treating solid and liquid waste. During the treatment, it also offers a variety of solutions for recycling items that aren't categorized as trash. The entire idea thus boils down to the reusing garbage as a valuable resource, and given our current environmental climate, this process is extremely vital for all households and businesses. Let's understand the concept of the 3 R's. Interestingly, the 3 R concept means reduce, reuse, and recycle. It is becoming recognized around the world as an important guiding principle for realizing sound waste management solutions. But this approach will only enable improvements up to a certain point, even if programs are perfectly implemented. Once this point is reached, we will get stuck and we will not be able to further improve the situation by installing practical, additional, and sustainable material flow loops that help to reduce resource consumption and emissions along the value chain of extraction and processing of primary resources. The installation of functioning material loop is one of the main goals of the circular economy package, currently under discussion in the European Union. When pursuing steps to attain that goal, we must be well aware that it is not only about finding the technical solutions to recycle, but that we also have to make sure to put in place the right regulatory framework to allow for the utilization of the secondary resources, while still making score to prevent harmful substances to remain and potentially accumulate in these material loops. In order to really get there, we, as those who deal with the recyclables and waste, must strive to participate in the production sector and thereby feedback our accumulated knowledge about the recyclability of products or problems down the recycling chain to those responsible for bringing products to the market. Now let's come to the problems of the solid waste management. Solid waste management is a key challenge in India and is known to adversely impact the environment. We generate more than 1.5 lakh metric tons of solid waste every day. This includes not just garbage or municipal waste, but also other forms of waste like the e-waste, the plastic waste, hazardous waste, etc. Over the last decade, the Government of India has set various kinds of rules and guidelines to manage all these different kinds of waste. It is important to understand that if we are to seriously address the increasing challenge of waste management, now we will discuss about the 8 types of waste materials and processes of how to handle the same. We start with the municipal waste. Municipal waste are the waste normally generated from commercial and household activities. They do not include waste from construction or demolition activities. Open dumping of such waste contaminates the water bodies. Public health is also threatened as these wastes attract vector-borne diseases. A considerable increase in municipal solid waste can be seen due to the rising urbanization and lifestyle changes. Urban India generates around 62 million tons of municipal solid waste every year. Note that municipal waste generates some amount of plastic waste as well. According to the solid waste management rules, these plastic wastes are first segregated by the generators and are handed over to the authorized rag pickers or the waste collectors. It is then processed under the guidelines of the Plastic Waste Management Amendment Rules 2018. Let's come to the second type of waste, which is the plastic waste. The accumulation of the plastic objects in environment is broadly termed as plastic waste. Plastic come in different forms, and the single-use plastic like the plastic bags, straws, bottles, etc. are the ones that are widely used. Since these plastics are non-biodegradable, they are known to disrupt the life of all living organisms on the planet. Uncollected plastic waste on land have resulted in the choking of the drains, leading to numerous waterborne diseases. Careless disposal of plastic waste blocks the porosity of the soil, therefore affecting soil fertility. Most of the plastic waste that are not disposed of properly on land finds its way to the ocean. In the marine environment, these plastic wastes interfere with the food chain of the marine organisms. Roughly around more than 1 lakh marine mammals die due to plastic ingestion every year. Now we talk about a very harmful type of new waste, which is the e-waste. E-waste or electronic waste are discarded electrical and electronic products like computers and their peripherals, home appliances, audio or video devices. These products contain toxic metals like lead, cadmium, beryllium, chromium, just to name a few. E-waste generally become hazardous when they are recycled or disposed of by the primitive methods, such as simply dumping it into the garbage bins. Once exposed to the environment, these toxic chemicals can cause severe health problems. We take an example of lead, which is usually found in the circuit boards and computer monitors, which causes damage to the nervous systems, affect the kidney and reproductive system in humans, and hinders the brain development in children. Studies have revealed that beryllium, commonly found in the motherboard, is responsible for lung cancer and skin diseases. Printer cartridges that have black and color toners led to respiratory irritation. A big reason of concern is that India is the 5th largest generator of e-waste in the world. We generate approximately 2 million tons of e-waste annually. Now come to the biomedical waste. A very dangerous category of waste is the biomedical or the hospital waste, and the kind of waste which has been generated during the treatment or immunization of humans or animals in a medical or a research laboratory. This type of waste usually includes syringes, discarded medicines, bandages, etc. The discharge of the toxins from these biomedical wastes can gravely affect the terrestrial and marine ecosystems. These toxins, once consumed, can prove to be fatal for some organisms. Human exposure to such toxins can lead to birth defects. Many biomedical wastes can also potentially lead to the spread of infectious diseases. A study recently conducted reveals that India is likely to generate about 775.5 tons of medical waste by 2022. Construction and demolition waste. A common but hazardous waste is the construction and demolition waste, which is generated due to the activities related to construction or demolition of roads, buildings, bridges, subways, etc. This type of waste particularly includes non-biodegradable materials such as concrete, plaster, metal, wood and plastics. A part of this waste combines with the municipal waste. If such wastes are not managed properly, they can pollute the land and the air. According to an estimate by the government, these wastes generate 165 to 175 million tons annually. Hazardous waste. Now, these are the various common types of waste known as the hazardous waste. These are many kinds of waste which are negative or reactive toxics, flammable and explosive or corrosive in nature, and can cause a threat to the health or the environment. Such wastes are generated by the industries involved in the manufacturing of petroleum, paints, pharmaceuticals, etc. Unscientific disposal of these hazardous wastes leads to emission of toxic chemicals. These chemicals are responsible for air pollution and degradation of the water bodies. Workers deployed in such practices suffer from neurological disorders, skin diseases and cancer. As per a report in 2015, India generated around 7.46 million metric tons of total hazardous waste annually. Battery waste. Another very common category of waste is that of used or depleted batteries from cars, electronic equipment and industries, which contribute to the battery waste. These batteries contain heavy metals like lead, nickel, lithium, copper, etc. Battery waste usually gets unnoticed and archaic methods are relied on to dispose these. Improper disposal of these used batteries results in the release of some toxic chemicals which contaminate both the soil and the water bodies. They can become hazardous to the environment, especially affecting the health of all living organisms in the world. Every year, approximately 2.7 billion dry cell batteries are used in India. Let's come to now the radioactive waste. Well, the radioactive waste forms a part of the waste that contains radioactive elements. These radioactive elements mainly come from mining activities and nuclear power plants. Radiations emitted of this kind of waste are known to disrupt the environment. Such radiations may damage the eyes, injure the skin cells, causing sunburns, and can have long-term effects like cancer and tumors. It has been noted that embryos, fetus, bone marrow, and intestinal linings are more prone to radiation. According to a study, India generates around 4 tons of nuclear waste every year. Now that we have learned about the various types of waste, the benefits of waste management has to be talked about. Let's start with the benefits. It leads to a better environment. Probably the biggest advantage of managing waste is that it actually and eventually leads to a better and a fresher environment. Waste disposal units also contribute to the well-being of the people by helping them become disease-free. The best part of all this is that it happens while the unnecessary is duly disposed of in a proper and sanitary manner. Multiple waste disposal units should be placed in Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities in a bid to prep up the process of the waste disposal. This will also help implement remarkable safety measures in the long run. Another important benefit of waste management is that it helps to reduce pollution. When waste is managed in the right way, it doesn't merely eliminate the subsequent waste but also reduces the impact and the intensity of the harmful greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide and methane that are often exuded from accumulated waste in the landfills. Managing waste reduces our reliance on landfills while also significantly cutting down the many factors that adversely impact our environment. It helps in conserving energy. And it is much known fact that recycling is one of the biggest aspects of waste management. And over time, it helps conserve energy. One of the highest instances of disadvantage can be traced to the practice of recycled paper. All of us are probably aware that thousands of trees are cut to produce paper. When a used paper is recycled to create new paper, the need of cutting trees is significantly minimized. This helps in conserving energy while also reducing your carbon footprints. It creates both direct and indirect employment. The recycling industry alone creates hundreds of jobs. As more people adopt this eco-friendly practice, organizations creating and selling recycled products come to the forefront. This helps boost their business while also create hundreds of jobs. Ultimately, this truly helps in making a difference. By managing waste, you are also making a difference to the society and the world in general. While none of us can completely get rid of garbage, we can always adopt eco-friendly practices of reducing and reusing waste. This way, we can create an example for the people around us, who in turn are now motivated to embrace a sustainable approach. There are 8 major categories of waste management, and each of them can be divided into numerous subcategories. Let us discuss them. The categories include source reduction and reuse, animal feeding, recycling, composting, fermentation, landfill incineration, and land application. Some of these methods like reduction and reuse can be started from the comfort of your own home without methods of waste disposal, although there are many methods of disposing waste. In this section, let's take a look at some of the most commonly used methods that you should know about the waste management. Landfills. Throwing daily waste garbage in the landfill is the most popular used method of waste disposal used today. This process of waste disposal focuses attention on burying the waste in the land. Landfills are commonly found in developing countries. There is a process used that eliminates the odors and dangers of waste before it is placed into the ground. While it is true that the most popular form of waste disposal is landfills, it is certainly far from only procedure and one that may also bring with it assortment of space. This method is becoming less these days, although thanks to the lack of space availability and the strong presence of the methane and other landfill gases, both of which can cause numerous contamination problems. Landfills give rise to air and water pollution, which severely affects the environment and can prove fatal to the lives of humans and animals. Many areas are reconsidering the use of landfills. Let's come to another way of disposing, which is combustion. Incarnation combustive is a type of disposal method in which municipal solid waste are burned at high temperatures. The process eventually converts them into residues and gaseous products. The biggest advantage of this type of method is that it can reduce the volume of solid waste to 20 to 30% of the original volume. Additionally, it also decreases the space they take up, while also reducing the stress on the landfill. Incinerators are primarily used in the thermal treatment, where solid waste material are converted to heat, gas, steam, and ash. Incineration is also widely popular in countries where landfill space is no longer available, such as the US and Japan. Recovery and recycling. Resource recovery is the process of taking useful discarded items for a specific next use. These discarded items and then process into the extract or recover material and resources or convert them to energy in form of usable heat, electricity or fuel. Recycling is the process of converting waste products into new products to prevent energy usage and consumption of fresh raw materials. Recycling is the third component of reduce, reuse, and recycle in the waste hierarchy. The idea behind recycling is to reduce energy usage, to reduce the volume of landfills, to reduce the air and water pollution, to reduce the greenhouse gases emissions, and preserve natural resources for the future use. Another technique is the plasma gasification. The plasma gasification is another form of waste management. Plasma is primarily an electrically charged or highly ionized gas. Lighting is one type of plasma that produces temperatures that exceed 12,600 degrees Fahrenheit. With this method of waste disposal, a vessel uses characteristic plasma torches operating at almost more than 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, which creates a gasification zone till 3000 degrees Fahrenheit for the conversion of solid or liquid waste into syngas. During the treatment of the solid waste by plasma gasification, the waste's molecular bonds are broken down as a result of the intense heat in the vessel and the element's components. Thanks to this process, the destruction of the waste and dangerous materials are found. This form of waste disposal provides renewable energy and an assortment of other fantastic benefits. Composting. Composting is an easy and natural biodegradation process that takes organic waste, that is, remains of the plants and garden and kitchen waste, and turns it into nutrient-rich food for your plants. Composting, normally used for organic farming, occurs by allowing organic material to sit in one place for months until microbes decompose it. Note that composting is often deemed to be one of the best methods of waste disposal, as it can turn unsafe organic products into safe compost. The process, however, has its downside. Some people have found it to be slow, while others have observed that it takes a lot of space. Making waste energy. So, waste to energy, which is recovering energy. Waste to energy, also widely recognized by its acronym WTE, is the generation of energy in form of heat or electricity from waste energy, and disposal to energy process involves the conversion of the non-recyclable waste items into usable heat, electricity, or fuel through a variety of processes. This type of energy is a renewable energy source, as non-recyclable waste can be used over and over to create it. WTE can also help reduce carbon emissions by offsetting the need for energy from fossil resources. Over time, this reduces global warming and makes our environment better. Special waste disposal. There are certain waste types that are considered hazardous and cannot be disposed of without special handling, which will prevent contamination from occurring. Biomedical waste is one example of such waste disposal method. It is primarily practiced in healthcare facilities and similar institutions. The special waste disposal system effectively disposes of hazardous biomedical waste. Avoidance or waste minimization. The most easiest method of waste management is to reduce the creation of waste material, thereby reducing the amount of waste going to the landfills. Waste reduction can be done through recycling old material like the jars, bags, repairing broken items instead of buying new ones, avoiding the use of disposable products like plastic bags, reusing second-hand items, and buying items that use less of the natural resources, and designing. Now let's talk about the power of recycling. Recycling and composting are a couple of the best methods of waste management. Composting is so far only possible on a very small scale, either by private individuals or in areas where waste can be mixed with farming soil or is used for landscaping purposes. Recycling, on the other hand, can be widely used around the world with plastic, paper, and metal leading the list of the most recyclable items. Most material recycled is reused for its original purpose. In some instances, they may also be sold for generating profits. Let's come to the conclusion. As you can see, there are plenty of important things that you should know about waste management and disposal in order to ensure that you and the environment around you are safe. While it may not be apparent, it is our choice and our responsibility that paves the way towards a better world and a healthier environment. That is why always be sustainable and make actionable efforts to manage and treat waste. Since we have listed multiple waste management methods, explore your options before making a final choice. And now it's time for a quick recap. In today's episode, we discussed about the problems of the waste management issues related to solid waste, types of waste, benefits of handling waste, and lastly, the ways of handling the waste management techniques. We learned that waste management truly helps in enhancing the life and the life quality of the people around us. In totality, we did learn about making the world a better place by ensuring zero waste. That is all we have for you today. Hope you enjoyed the session. We shall be back with more such insightful and informative episodes on development. Until then, take care. Thank you and namaskar.